What's up, Rebels fans? Andi Guttierez coming at you from Lucasfilm headquarters in my normal, everyday work clothes. This week, Sabine got her hands on a coveted piece of Mandalorian gear in Imperial Super Commandos, and now I'm here to take you behind the scenes. This is Rebels Recon. Ezra, Sabine, and Fenrau head to Conqueror Dawn to investigate a downed communication system, but discover the base was destroyed by Mandalorians working for the Empire.
Stay alert. They're around here somewhere.
However, when Ezra is captured by Gar Saxon, Fen and Sabine must work together to save him.
What took you so long?
I was using strategy. It takes longer.
Following the successful rescue, Fen abandons the group, leaving them to fend for themselves, but only to have a change of heart in the end.
You haven't forgotten our ways. That has earned my respect.
This week, Sabine and Fenrau had to work together to escape from Mandalorians working for the Empire. I sat down with cast and crew to talk about Sabine's encounter with her Mandalorian past, the design behind Gar Saxon and the Imperial Super Commandos, and what it means for the rebellion now that Fenrau's on their side. Check it out. Ezra experiences a bit of Mandalorian culture in Imperial Super Commandos. How do you think this affects his relationship with Sabine?
There's a whole new respect for Sabine, and Sabine becomes a real force in Season 3. The whole crew realizes that Sabine can really help out in more ways than one.
Sabine is starting to lean into her Mandalorian legacy. How has her relationship with Fenrau helped that along?
Fen is there to be this constant reminder of where she came from. Earlier in the series, she was pretty much the only Mandalorian element in the show. Sabine is such an individual that it's easy to imagine her turning her back on her roots. Fen is more of a traditionalist, and that challenges her. It's this constant reminder of what it is that she left.
He's probably the closest thing she has to her true family. He does represent home, and she's drawn to that, and she's been away from home for a long time, so it just makes sense that she would seek out one of her own people to try to reconnect.
The Super Commandos seen in this episode are serving the Empire. What has the Empire brought to Mandalore that has gotten this group to side with them?
Stability, for one thing. I mean, we've been thinking a lot about Mandalore as the series progresses, and we started peeling back some layers in Sabine's history. To get there, we started extrapolating, well, what does it mean to have an empire on Mandalore? And how do you keep a planet that went through such a chaotic civil war during the Clone Wars in order? But it seems that obviously we have a world where not everyone was aligned, and there were those who were more opportunistic and who were willing to sign up with the Empire.
The idea behind Boba Fett was that he was part of a group called Imperial Super Commandos, and now we're revisiting the idea of Stormtrooper Mandalorians.
Right.
How did you come up with the look for these soldiers?
Obviously, there's all the very, very early days Joe Johnston designs for what ultimately evolved into Boba when he was still going to be part of the squad of white-armored Super Commandos. Dave had a bunch of sketches that were a little bit of that, but also hybrided with some ideas that he had of his own. He felt that they needed to be unique enough that you didn't think that's just Mandalorian armor with a T-visor that is white, that it had something that was a little more aggressive and very slightly more Imperial. And then as soon as you make any of that armor white, it obviously begins to read much more like a clone or a stormtrooper or a First Order.
Gar Saxon is a character that had originally appeared in the Son of Dathomir series, and he was sided with Maul. What has he been up to since then, and why is he now with the Empire?
Gar Saxon is like the quintessential sellout. He dresses up in Mandalorian tradition, but it's clearly he's more interested in power than anything deep-rooted, any sort of tradition.
The idea is he probably was throughout Maul's reign on Mandalore. And once Maul was removed towards the end of the Clone War, Gar Saxon very likely withdrew into hiding. Then once the Republic became the Empire, and the Empire wanted a puppet leader on Mandalore, he was probably more than willing to come out of the shadows and do whatever it took to earn the Emperor's favor.
How much of the Clone Wars design translated to Rebels?
Very little, because Gar was part of Darth Maul's band, and he had the big horned helmet, and he had a glowing yellow visor. So pretty much nothing from the Gar.
Yeah, it's quite different.
It's completely different, which was deliberate. It was sort of Gar has thrown his lot in completely with the Empire. The idea was that the Super Commandos are much more Imperial than they are Mandalorian, which will sort of play into storylines that are going to come up in the future.
At the end of this episode, Fenrau has committed himself to the Rebels' cause. How do you think this will affect the Alliance going forward?
If you look at how important Sabine has been as one Mandalorian warrior, her skills, tactics, techniques, her knowledge of the Empire even has really helped the rebellion. So bringing in another Mandalorian warrior who's capable, who's also a leader, can only help.
Fen is a thread to a fighting force that we know is highly skilled, well-equipped, and capable, which is something that the rebels are always in need of. So the question becomes, can our group of rebels enlist the aid of Mandalorians?
The Lucasfilm Story Group's Pablo Hidalgo is like a living, breathing holocron. If a holocron was a South American-Canadian coffee lover with a dynamite goatee and a winning smile. So come with me while I extract some more Star Wars knowledge out of his big old Star Wars-filled head. Hey, Pablo.
Hey, Andy.
I got a question for you. All right. This week, your question comes from Marco Blau, who asks, how could Rex take blaster bolts that would normally kill a clone trooper and not only not die, but continue to fight?
You know, Ezra actually mentions this in the episode. What we're dealing with is battle droid equipment that's subpar and it's gone to waste, and droidicas that aren't at full power. So if those things were fresh and new, Rex's number could have been up, but thankfully they were pretty outrun.
Okay, cool. And a bonus question, because a lot of people are asking, why do some characters say Clone War instead of Clone Wars? Is there a difference? Is there a reason for that?
No, just personal preference. Both are perfectly acceptable.
Oh, all right then. Thanks. Have more questions about Imperial Super Commandos or anything else you want to know about Rebels? Tweet it to @StarWars using the hashtag RebelsRecon, and we'll answer what we can online. Now, it's time for a sneak peek of our next episode, which I'm kind of in love with, Iron Squadron.
You're clear. Now make your jump. Get out of here.
Negative. Whoever you are, the Iron Squadron doesn't run.
Thanks for watching Rebels Recon. We'll be back soon with a brand new episode. In the meantime, check out the episode guide for Imperial Super Commandos on StarWars.com on Monday. And if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and download the Star Wars app. Thanks again, and may the Force be with you.